Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to a YouTube bonus. Very pleased you are spending time with us today. Earlier this week, I did socialism on our YouTube channel. Now I'm graduating to communism because Mamdani won. He will be, once sworn in, the mayor of New York City. He's a communist. And most people don't know what that means. Everybody, when I was growing up, knew what it meant because we're in a Cold War with the Soviet Union. They were communists. They were bad. We were good. We were capitalists. Everybody knew. Now they don't know. Okay, so let's walk through what the problem really is. First, Mamdani himself defining what he believes. Go.
Right now, right? If we're talking about the cancellation of student debt, if we're talking about Medicare for all, these are issues which have the groundswell of popular support across this country. But then there are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it is the end goal of seizing the means of production.
Seizing the means of production. There you go. You have to seize by force. Okay? That's what communists do. That is the crux. Now, he mentioned BDS, that's boycott, divestment, sanctions against Israel. 33% of Jewish voters in New York that cast ballots voted for Mamdani. And he hates you guys. 33%. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Okay. Now, the media will not admit that Zohran Mamdani is a communist. Here's a display on CNN. Go.
When you put in communist and yes, communist policies, that's what Zohran Mamdani is talking about.
He's not a communist.
It never works.
Socialist. He says he's democratic.
I can't tell what the difference is.
Well, he can describe
explain what the difference is.
He can describe the differences for you. The socialism is not the same basis of communism in this country. You know that quite well.
Madam, with all due respect, when you say you're going to seize the means of production, that's communism. Okay? Socialism is redistributing income. That's taxing me, O'Reilly, right up to here, 80, 90%, and then giving that money to people who don't have a lot of assets. That's socialism. And you do that through balloting, through voting. So you vote for progressive left candidates, that's what they want to do. Communism isn't that, no voting. That's, we're taking. And if you don't like it, we'll put you in jail. And in extreme cases, like Russia, China, Cuba, Vietnam, okay, all communists. Russia now says it isn't, but it really is. Soviet Union, Putin believes in that. They'll hurt you. And that's what Mamdani wants. He would seize the means of production. So if I were the guest on Laura Coates' CNN program, I would just gently say, well, how can you explain that phrase that the man said? She wouldn't be able to do it. She wouldn't. Because you can't explain it. It's self-explanatory. Now, Mamdani got 50% of the vote in New York City, as you may know. And he beat Cuomo by 9%. And this is the most important stat. Largest city in the world. It is the center of capitalism all over the world. New York City. And now it has a communist in charge. That's bizarre. 5 million registered voters in the 5 boroughs of New York City. Most of them didn't show up to vote. And there was a heavy turnout because most people never show up to vote. And I'm saying to myself, you didn't vote in this one? With so much on the line? Why? Because many Americans do not care. They don't pay attention. They're ill-educated. They live in a bubble. They pursue happiness solely for themselves, not for the good of their country. None of that. No, I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm not watching the news. I'm not reading a newspaper. I'm not learn about socialism and communism and fascism. I'm not going to do that. That's all right. That's not fun. That's the majority of people in this country. Unfortunately, now I think it's a majority. Close. All right, a little history. Russian Revolution. Now, if you read my book, Confronting Evil, and I just happen to have a copy right here, is Putin, is Mao, Hitler, Ayatollah. So if you read Confronting Evil, Stalin was part of the Russian Revolution. They overturned the Tsar. What the communists did to the Tsar and his family, you're not going to believe it, what they did. I'm not going to tell you. You have to read it. And you read it slowly. Anyway, Stalin killed 10, 15 million people in Russia. Anybody who didn't sign on to communism, or they're put in the gulags, okay, where most of them died. And that was it. So Lenin's Bolsheviks came to power. The Tsar was corrupt, bad guy, okay? They got him, they got his family, they did horrible things to him. Communists took over. And then Reagan and Bush the elder bankrupted the Soviet Union. It collapsed, and it was supposed to be free for about 10 minutes, and then Putin took over. No, it's not free. American homeowners, the FBI has been warning all of us about a type of real estate fraud called title theft. The target, your equity. With just a forged signature, ownership can be transferred out of your name, and without protection in place, you are facing an emotional and financial nightmare. That's why I partner up with Home Title Lock. You can find out today if you are already a victim and protect yourself. Use promo code BILL at HomeTitleLock.com to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if you are a victim of fraud, they will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BILL, or use the link below. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BILL. In the Great Depression, when everybody was poor, there was a big communist movement in America. Okay, this is in the 1930s. And 80,000 Americans called themselves communists by 1938. 80,000. And the labor unions were in the forefront of that. Eugene Debs, D-E-B-S, was the leader, but he was dead by that time. But he was the American that ginned all this up. Okay? And he was put in jail, Debs. And Warren Harding, President Harding, commuted his sentence. So the communist movement in the 1930s here was substantial. In 1949, Mao took over after World War II and killed 20 million of his own people to impose communism, which is still there today. I was in Beijing in May. And some of you might know that. Pictures of Mao all over the place. Now, picture this. You're an American dictator. You killed 20 million Americans. You think your picture's going to be everywhere? It's all over China. Why? Because the Chinese people have no blanking idea what Mao did. The totalitarian police state blanks all of it out. Kids aren't taught that. Nobody can publish that. You can't talk about it. Say a bad word about Mao. Hello, goodbye. No. China has never had a day of freedom in its entire existence. So Mao is the worst mass murderer under the banner of communism in world history. And again, it's in Confronting Evil, what he did to his own people. All right. After World War II, North Korea became communist. They were a satellite of Russia. Vietnam, North Vietnam, communist. We fought a war against North Korea, Korean War. We fought a war against North Vietnam. It's all communist-based. Communists want to expand. The United States said no. And then hundreds of thousands of U.S. troops died. So this communism is pretty tough. Now, in the 1950s, there was a hardcore cadre in Hollywood that were communists. And there were politicians, McCarthy, Wisconsin, the senator, who wanted to punish them, blacklist them. Some big names, Dalton Trumbo, Ring Lardner Jr., on and on and on. Okay? Sean Penn's father, communist, blacklisted. And Ronald Reagan was deeply involved in hunting down so-called communists as the president of the Screen Actors Guild. That's a union I'm in. And Reagan, very ardent anti-communist, but they went totally out of control. Celebrities, Charlie Chaplin, big commie, huge, okay? And he was a pretty big guy in 1930s and 40s. So Charlie got deported. They booted him out of here. He settled in Switzerland. Orson Welles, Lena Horne, Paul Robeson, Burgess Meredith, remember in Rocky, Mick, and Zero Mostel. The producers, Bialystock and Bloom, okay? Ozzie Davis, Ruby Dee, African-American actors, very fine. Edward G. Robinson. Now, he was a big famous guy. He said, I'm not a communist, and it turned out he wasn't. But his career got hammered anyway. All of that was going on in the 1950s. So it was what they called a Red Scare. So now communism is back. It's back. Now, I think Mamdani is going to fail. That's what I want to happen, because communism is no good. It deprives people of freedom. 75% of people say they voted for Mamdani because they were atheists. Can't have religion. Okay? It's got to be the state. The state is your God. So I'm going to watch Mamdani very, very closely. Very closely. I can't imagine him succeeding. If he does and I'm wrong, I will admit it. Got to give me a year. But if things start going south fast, and they may in New York City, I'm on it. Hope you enjoyed that presentation. If you have any objection to anything I said, or don't believe or want some backup, bill@BillO'Reilly.com, name and town. We'll see you again soon.